Mathis der Maler is an opera by Paul Hindemith. The opera's genesis lay in Hindemith's interest in the Protestant Reformation. The work's protagonist, Matthias Grünewald, was an actual historical figure who flourished in the era, and whose art, in particular the Isenheim Altarpiece, inspired many creative figures in the early 20th century, including Joris-Karl Huysmans' novel Là-bas. Hindemith considered commissioning author Gottfried Benn to write the libretto, but wound up doing it himself. Hindemith completed the opera in 1935. By that time, however, the rise of Nazism prevented Hindemith from securing a performance in Germany. Despite 3 years' efforts, the story, set during the German Peasants' War, concerns Matthias's struggle for artistic freedom of expression in the repressive climate of his day, which mirrored Hindemith's own struggle as the Nazis attained power and repressed dissent. The opera's obvious political message did not escape the government's notice. Performance history. It was first performed on the 28th of May 1938 in Zurich, conducted by Robert Denzler. On 9 and the 11th of March in 1939 the opera Mathis der Maler was performed in Amsterdam, conducted by Carl Schmid-Bloss, director of the opera in Zurich. At the same time the Rijksmuseum Amsterdam made a documentary exhibition of the painting, The Small Crucifixion, and 2 drawings by Matthias Grünewald owned by Franz Koenigs. The British premiere was in Edinburgh on the 29th of August 1952, and it was first given in the United States on the 17th of February 1956 at Boston University, conducted by Sarah Caldwell. In contrast to the popular symphony, Mathis der Maler, the large-scale opera itself is only occasionally staged. A notable U.S. production was that of the New York City Opera in 1995. Hamburg State Opera staged the work in 2005. It was being performed at the Gran Teatre del Liceu in Barcelona when the building was destroyed by a fire in January 1994. Main roles. Synopsis. In a cloister courtyard, Mathis' musings and doubts about his vocation are interrupted by the peasant leader Schwalbe and his child Regina. Moved by the peasant's plight, he offers his horse and stays to face the pursuing Sylvester, who dares not arrest the cardinal's favorite painter. A riot between Catholics, Lutherans and students in front of Albrecht's residence in Mainz is averted only by the arrival of the cardinal himself with relics of Saint Martin. He promises the merchant Riedinger to countermand an order to burn books, but latter gives in to Pommerfeld, who points out that he cannot defy Rome. Mathis, reunited with Riedinger's daughter Ursula, is recognized by Sylvester and makes a passionate plea to Albrecht not to join in the suppression of the peasants' revolt. Realizing he cannot change his friend's mind, Albrecht grants him safe passage to join their cause. The Lutherans are at first outraged when Capito leads soldiers to the stash of hidden books in Riedinger's house, but appeased when he reveals a letter from Luther to Albrecht suggesting that he demonstrate his advanced views by marrying Albrecht, the strongest clerical prince in Germany, who holds the fate of the empire in his hands, is in such dire financial straits that it is likely he would agree, and Riedinger asks Ursula to give thought to the matter, as it would be to the benefit of both the Lutheran faith and the empire. Mathis arrives to bid farewell and insists she cannot follow him to the war. When her father returns, she gives her consent to the plan. At the end of Scene 3, all men chant a paean to God, the religion and the fatherland. The peasant army has captured the Helfensteins, marching the count to execution and humiliating the countess. Asked for their demands, one of the peasants replies, amongst others, that they do not accept any ruler save the emperor. Mathis remonstrates and is beaten down. The federal army army arrives and the disheartened peasants prepare for battle but are quickly overrun. Schwalbe is killed and Mathis barely saved by the Countess. He flees with the orphaned Regina. Albrecht discusses his debts and Luther's challenge with Capito and agrees to interview a rich bride. He is astonished when Ursula enters and, dubious of her avowals, reproaches her for lending herself to the scheme. She admits that she is motivated not by love but by her faith to attempt his conversion, and in turn reproaches him for his vacillations and his lack of vision. He appears to be profoundly moved by her plea, but when the others are called in, he announces that he will reform his ways by striving to return to his vows and to lead a simple life. In the Odenwald forest, Mathis lulls the haunted Regina to sleep with a description of a concert of angels, she joining in the folk song Es sungen Triangle. No sooner is she asleep but Mathis, now in the garb of Grunwald St. Anthony, is beset by tempters. A figure resembling the Countess Helfenstein offers a life of luxury. Pommesfelden praises power over money. Ursula appears in the guises of a beggar, then a seductress and led to the scaffold as a martyr. Capito, now a scholar, tells Antony the world can be mastered by science and reproaches him for unobjectivity. Schwalbe upbraids for his unwarlike compassion. The chorus unite in an enactment of the temptation scene of the Isenheim Altarpiece before the scene suddenly changes to that of Antony's visit to St. Paul. Albrecht consoles Antony, Mathis, and calls him to his duty. Go forth and paint. Ursula cares for the dying Regina, who confuses Mathis' painting of the dying Christ with her father. Only the sight of Mathis calms her before she dies. In the morning he is visited by Albrecht, who offers his home, but Mathis prefers to spend his last days in solitude. Packing his trunk, he bids farewell to good intentions of scroll, ambition, compass and ruler, creation, paints and brush, acclaim, a gold chain, questioning books, and last, kissing a ribbon from Ursula, to love. List of musical numbers. Recordings. 1977 ME Classical 555-2372 Raphael Kubelik, Bavarian Radio Symphony Orchestra and Amp Chorus. Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau, James King, Ursula Cossett, William Cochrane, Peter Mevin, Rose Wageman, Donald Grobe, Gerd Feldhoff, Alexander Malta, Trudelis Schmidt, 1990, Wergo WER 6255-2, Gerd Albrecht, WDR Symphony Orchestra Cologne and Amp Chorus. Joseph Prochka, Roland Hermann, Victor van Halem, Hermann Winkler, Harold Stamm, Sabine Haas, Heinz Kroos, Ulrich Hirscher, Ulrich Ress, Gabriel Rosmanith, Marilyn Schmidj. 2005 OEHM's Classics OC 908 Simone Young, Hamburg Philharmonic Symphony and Chorus, Falk Strugman, Scott McAllister, Susan Anthony, Inga Kalner, Parlinskog. 2005 Hamburg Staging